Hello, hello, welcome, Piece of Pat Paints. I'm Pat, and that light's really bright in my face. Yeah, that's a little better. I'm trying to balance out the light now that we moved everything, so it's interesting. The glare on my glasses is fun. Like that it changes colors. That's interesting. If I could get it to where it's like that's my pupils, that would be hilarious. But yeah, anyway, I'm a little weird. For those of you who aren't familiar with this show, I'm just an oddball that paints miniatures and stuff on the internet. I'm running a little behind today on a lot of different things, car troubles and stuff. Here at the homestead, that happens. You just, if you've owned a car, you know that they have problems. It's just part of the game. They're literally made to fall apart. That's just kind of what they are. They're disposable machines. It just sucks when you got to deal with one. Anyway, we are painting demons again. Some more still. They're awesome. I'm gonna have to adjust this camera again. This may become like an every time thing. Yes, I'm sure I want to delete that. I have another camera option on there for when I was trying to use my phone, and it keeps annoying me. That's why I turned it off. I deleted it. We can try and get like a different thing or something. But anyway, yeah, things are getting slowly better. I really feel like we're dialing in on making this to where people can really see a lot better about what we're doing. Got a fresh palette today. It's still trying to get wrinkly because it is still doing its thing. Nice and wet. So we can start a whole new deal there, which is great. And always a lot of fun. We're going to need that. We're going to need that. I got this when we were working on yesterday. I got one of his legs just a little too blue. So we may have to come over that with just a little bit of magenta. Oh, it's a little tall. Okay, let's see. Up. We want this. There we go. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so we got a little too much Payne's Gray on that leg. And you can see how it's just a little off. So hopefully we can just throw a little bit of magenta over top of it, like a wash, and we can balance it back out to look like the rest of them. Hopefully. And I did get this guy done, so we got to do his zenithal highlight. I got his piece printed, so he's ready to go. So we got him, and then once we get done with all these guys, we'll move on to her, and we got several other demons to go. I also have like some demons that are riding some other demon things. We might paint one of those on the show, and then I'm gonna paint the rest of them up. But that'd be interesting to get some of those in and done. All right, so we actually need some white. I'm just pulling up paints that I know I need as I see them. And we can actually get started with this white here. Every cup of coffee I have gotten today, I have done that little barely overspill thing too, and it is leaving coffee greens flipping everywhere. And I don't know if that's like a me thing, if that makes anybody else crazy, but man, that makes me nuts. I hate coffee greens. What are these mini fries? Oh, so these, good question. Thanks for asking. These are from Artisan Guild. It's an STL company. They sell the files and you can print them. I print them myself too as well, and I can print them for people and send them to people. I just don't advertise that because I'm not quite. That's not my favorite thing to do. Painting them is what I really enjoy doing. But they're all coming along really well. We have 3 schemes going here, 3 color schemes. So kind of like a classic devil, orangey red, and then a little bit of like a yellow devil. And thank you so much, I appreciate that. They also made these lizard men that we just finished up in the last series, and these are great. These lizard men are outstanding. They actually, if my dang camera will find the focus, doesn't like it. It doesn't like me sometimes. These guys were, there it goes. These guys were fantastic. Scales are great. They've got great faces. Where they actually have like the little ground parts, and all the scales to their jaw are there. Nice, just really nice look. Great scaling. Like everything looks great. This guy's been at it for a while. I believe they're a company out of Spain. I know it was one guy for a while, but it might be more than one now. I really should look that up so that I can advertise for him. But I also got this this girl. She's great. I really think she's. Yeah, the lizardmen are fantastic. They are about to go on my Etsy store. So they are finally done. We'll have a big video. We'll have a spin video for them here pretty soon. And those are just the footmen. There's some specialty lizardmen, like hero lizardmen in there too that I haven't done yet, which we may come back to. We may come back to do that after we get done with these demons. But I love demons in like the demon heaven versus hell concept. I love that idea. So when people voted demons, I was like, heck yeah. I have lizardmen for Warhammer. Whoa yeah, Warhammer Fantasy. First army was lizardmen. Nice, man. That's cool. I think I have some Bretonians somewhere, and then I've got some Dark Angel stuff. I bought the Leviathan box when it came out, so we've got some Tyranids and some Dark Angels we've done here on the show. We need to get back into it, and I also have a parts of a Necron army, parts of a Grey Knight army, and a little bit of some Admech pieces and some Angron's Legion. Dang it, World Eaters. I don't do a lot of Warhammer stuff. I guess we probably should do more of it, but like I don't know. Warhammer lately has been kind of they've gotten themselves into some ire with some other people. All right, so this is just a quick Zenithal highlight. For those of you who have seen this before, probably very familiar with this. Pretty easy. What we're trying to do is just pull out the highlights real fast to make laying down all our other stuff easy. And if you're a painter worth your salt, you should probably know this technique, whether you use it or not. And like I said, there's lots of ways to get to something, and there's lots of ways to do something, and not everybody's gonna have the same way of doing things. And that's actually the coolest part of art, honestly, is that there's no wrong art. There's just art you may not like. So the way you got there isn't, or the way somebody else got there isn't necessarily right or wrong. If it made the effect they wanted it to make, then it's correct. You just might not like it, and that's cool. I think that's the coolest thing about art and interpretation. And if you don't think painting miniatures is art, then I mean I don't know what to tell you. Maybe I don't know. Touch some grass or something, my friends. There's definitely some artistry to this, even if you're just doing the basics, like even your paint jobs. There's artistry to that. It's not. Heck, even applying a Zenithal highlight, not everybody's going to be able to do this anyway. But that doesn't make them any less of an artist. You know, maybe they paint it a different way. Maybe they do a little bit more old school. But they had to paint it, you know what I mean? They either grabbed an airbrush or they grabbed a tool and they made it look like something. And that's art. That's visual art right there. And I'll argue that till the day I'm dead. I don't like a lot of art, and that's okay. Not all art is for everybody. Like, even pop art is art, technically. You know, even if you don't like, I'm not a big fan of pop art, but some of it I like, and some of it I don't. But you know, I'm not gonna run out and buy a bunch of pop art. Hell, even that what's that thing called, a Labubu? We found that. Like, I didn't buy that thing. But it's fun. It's neat. I think it's cute. That's pop art. It's not necessarily super, like, all that inventive. It's just a little bear with a vinyl face on it, you know. They make hundreds of these things, but now they're super popular because a lot of people have decided they like it, and it became popular art, which is, that's great. Whoever came up with it, man, that's brilliant, and hats off to you, my dude. Are you using these for anything or just paint for fun? I use some of them. Occasionally we play Dungeons and Dragons here. A lot of times I paint for sell, so I have an Etsy shop, and then we do expos, and some of these are commissions. If you go back earlier, you can see I did a lot of Elden Ring commissions for a gentleman, which hats off to that guy. That was a lot of fun. But like it varies. To answer your question, it varies. Some of it's for me, some of it's for to sell it, some of it is just for funsies. Sometimes it's for other people. I have a friend of mine that sometimes moderates the channel, and I did a thing for his girlfriend last year for Christmas. It was a lot of fun. It was just a little diver guy. But I'm semi-retired. I was a chef, and now I kind of sit around and drive myself crazy. So instead of doing that, I started doing this, which has been a great way to do things. Totally understand. Yeah, mini looks cool. That's always a great reason to paint, because it's a cool looking mini. I have a bunch of. That's why I have to be careful going to my local store, because, like, you know, they've got the wall of minis and stuff on there, and there's always something, a random little guy over there I'm picking up. I'm like, oh man, I really like this guy. I'm gonna paint him. And then he sits in a box for 5 years, and finally shows up. I finally get around to painting him. Like, oh. Okay, that guy's Zenithal. He is going to be a vermilion one, so crimson vermilion. And vermilion it's like an orangey red. It's like a red towards the redder side for orange. It's crazy how it will look pretty orange when you put it out there, and unless you put crimson like right next to it, because then they look very close to the same. Because this is crimson, and you can see how orange it is when you put it next to crimson, but you can also see how red it is, because it's pretty freaking red. And I like to use vermilions on when I'm building onto reds and things like that. It's a great way to build your way through from red to a yellow or things like that. All right. Right in and get him all taken care of. Or this is just a base coat, so if we get a little overpainting, we're not terribly worried about that. Yeah, try to stay in the lines, but yeah, sometimes you just don't have that option. And it's really, I'm leaning towards this is just their jaw. At first I was wondering if it was some sort of armor clamped onto their face, but the more we mess with it, the more I'm really leaning towards it's some sort of jaw. Make sure you get a good base coat too. We're really trying to make this be our undertone. You might have to do 2 rounds of it. You never know. Since we add a lot of layers to things, we're usually alright. As long as we're not too wet. We're going on and we get all the coverage we want. Remember, the more damp your pigment is, the paint, the harder it is for it to cover. The thicker it is, or the less water that's in it, the more it's going to clump and it will fill in gaps and things like that. So you're looking for a certain consistency. And that's why most miniature paints come in a pretty thin start-off consistency. Now, paints I use do not, so it is not, I don't necessarily recommend the colors they're the actual paints I use for people who maybe aren't familiar with how to use a thicker paint when you're painting miniatures and how to thin your stuff down. We go over it all the time on the channel, so you know you could totally watch me and learn how to do it. But there's a lot of thinner paints. Actually, there's a logic behind all that. Using a thinner paint, maybe, especially when you're starting out and you're trying to get a certain result, and you need that confidence boost that comes from it just being almost instantly successful. Because this definitely won't be. You're gonna have to, when you deal with the kind of paints I use, you're definitely putting yourself in a different kind of situation that you don't have to be in. But there is a little bit more. There's more give that I have. When you use a thicker paint, you get a little bit more room to play with things. Like I can bring it down to thin like a wash, or I can keep it thick if I need it to drop a hard dot somewhere, or with it being real thick, you can create textures if you're looking to do something like that as well. So there's different reasons why you might want different kinds of things, and I do use some regular model paints as well. Occasionally I have a couple different colors, metallics mainly. The miniature companies make the best metallics because miniatures need metallics, so they have the best range in metallics that you can usually find. Although I do have a couple thicker metallics that I rely on a lot. Hey, it's Sir McBeardsly. Got a red. Hey, thanks for dropping by, Gigan. Really appreciate it. And I lost. Awesome. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate that. Likes and subs are always nice. Thank you so much for stopping by. And good morning to you, Sir McBeardsly. Wonderful to see you. We have our third demon, or not third, all 6 of our demons are now going to have their base codes. We have this last demon form being put together right now, getting his base on. I hope all is well in your neck of the woods. We'll definitely have to check out, see if Gigan's got a channel. I'm gonna jump over there and take a look as soon as we get done with this. Your stream. Really trying to get that hand adjustment better. I'm so used to the camera being like right down right on top of it. The angle is definitely different. Interesting. Just cruising through the week, busy and tired. That's the life, man. That's the way it all is. I'm definitely busy. Definitely feels like I'm tired all the time too. Got to make sure you get into those little crannies best you can. This is usually a place where I get a lot of the overpaint, you know, under your straps and things like that. Which can definitely happen. I kind of like this mat where if I'm looking down on the cross hair of it, this thing, then it's right. Yeah, that's about right. Here we go. Still trying to figure out the best place for the light to go as well. It seems like sometimes it wants to be on it, sometimes it doesn't. But I really think this is the better angle. Which is great. We figured that out just around the time we're going to be getting the new upgrade on the camera. My guess is sometime in September I'll be getting that upgrade. I plan on taking all my, you know, everybody always gives dad things, you know, money for a birthday or whatever. My mother does anyway. So nobody knows what to buy me much anymore. So money's easiest, but I'll probably get a camera upgrade because that'll definitely help. Get us into the next bit. We got to get a better overall camera look. That's armor, that's leg, that's leg. Dun 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 dun. Do this hand just a little bit more. Maybe a little too wet. It's okay. Looks pretty good here. Okay, let's let him dry. Oh man, I forgot to turn on my own view watcher. I usually have myself on. I'm usually watching myself. I forgot to do that. It's always a good thing. It like seems to increase everything. As far as like the algorithm churning around. Give us a notice for a new subscriber. That's pretty awesome. Oh yeah, he's got himself a little channel too. Sweet. Get paid to paint. There you go.
Is AI gonna make us all brain dead?
Yeah, AI is definitely gonna make us all brain dead, Gabe. Like that is a thing. That's for real. Jump in there and like and subscribe on to his just because that's the way it should go. You should all support each other, dang it. Everybody should do that. You should all support each other, dang it. Everybody should do that. Catch myself talking. Okay. Let's see. We were just working on that. This guy's the one we need to get him to this next stage. Again, we dropped pale terracotta, I believe it was, on there, which is a color I use a lot for flesh colors. Pale rose blush and pale terracotta. And that is because, and I use it here because yellow likes pink when it comes to layering your paints. I'm not exactly sure why that is, except for that it has to do with the pigments themselves and how the pigments interact. But there's a real deep scientific reason behind all that. I'm gonna go around and make sure we got it. Yes, because that's got to be their face. Well, we painted that one to look like his face. That one is a helmet. That one's hard to tell. So I'm gonna bet it's his face. When in doubt, face it out, right? Flesh, get it fleshy. Make it fleshy. I was just talking about that paint and I can't find it. There we go. Hail terracotta. Bada bing, bada boom. Another fine Winsor Newton brother. Alright, let that dry up and then we'll get him all figured out. Okay. And I think that accounts for everybody. Because the other ones, that's a helmet. 2 guys with helmets, 2 guys, 4 guys without. Alright. So the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to kind of shine up this one's muzzles. Like we did the last one. And then we've already done one round here, so we want to just really add the places we know lights can be shining. Make sure we got any of the real dull looking spaces pop back out. Any places where we see, like, especially you see down here, where it just doesn't have that pop. Or up in here where it's just a little, still just a little too orange. Not quite yellow. The Golden Demon. The creme de la creme of the miniature painting world. Once a Golden Demon. It's definitely that's a Warhammer thing. I don't know if it has to be specifically Warhammer to get in it though. And then Reaper Con's got a deal. Theirs is, I think theirs is like next weekend or something like that. It's coming up pretty soon. We should definitely go to Reaper Con. really just trying to catch the tops of everything. Looking real nice. Looking real good. Not quite dry enough yet. I'll let that sit. All right, let's take a look at this other one that we've got to get back. Let's see. Beardsley says he's seeing a post that Anthony Starr wants to play Wesker in the live-action Resident Evil. Honestly, he looks exactly like Wesker. He could probably play a part. Maybe. I don't know. It's wild. We're still making Resident Evil movies. That part's crazy. But, you know, I guess we made Rocky movies until the end of time, didn't we? We're still making Rocky movies, but they're not called Rocky anymore. They're called Creed. It's still the same. It's like the Rocky extended universe now. Which, honestly, I mean, that's kind of cool, really. In a way, but it does kind of get to a point where you're like, oh man, okay. Here we go. More of the same. Maybe I'm just lamenting on wanting do a series that's closer to the games. Yeah. That'd be cool. I'd probably watch it. I mean, I can't say I'd guarantee I would for sure watch it, but I'd probably watch it. Alright, now Vermilion Guy's done. We're bringing Terracotta back onto him. I believe we did this one with the dry brush last time. It worked out really well just because of the way Terracotta works. Some pigments actually don't like dry brushing, and some pigments absolutely love to be dry brushed. It seems like the lighter ones really, really enjoy the being dry brushed on. Hopefully we waited long enough. Looks like we did. Might still be a few crevices. Really trying to make sure we got everything. All these flesh pieces done today, so we can get into making sure we have the weapons done tomorrow. So I want to get to new demons next week. Maybe we should do another poll. I don't know. I do kind of want to finish all these demons out, though. I still have a ton of quotes to go through from Paradise Lost and Dante's Inferno. And some of these other... That's a little hard to get to. Some of the other writings I found. That's why we have the shite brush. Keep your shite brushes. These you can jam into things because it was not going to hurt this brush anymore. It's shite. Everyone should have a shite brush. That one brush that shit the bed. Frayed like crazy or whatever it is that happened to it. See, and then I went and missed this thing's tail again. What is up with that? Why do I keep missing the devil's tails? Demons, devils. Definitely give it a solid watch for the 3-star. At least they're not trying to put the same another like completely over actor that's in 1,000 fucking things right now. That's getting a little old. Like, don't get me wrong, I really like Walter Goggins, and I like Pedro, but man, it seems like every movie has them in and out. And it goes like that in these waves. I don't know why we do that, but it's a human thing. When it comes to these shows, we have the same actors playing the same, like all the movies have the same people in it. You're like, oh god. Time to move on. Find some new talent. Who am I, though? Who am I? Although I heard the Fantastic Four. And like I said, they're both great actors. I really enjoy their films. I'm just, I'm just being an old curmudgeon. Which is good because Anthony Starr's not been on. Yeah, The Rock, Jack Black, Pedro Pascal, Anna Taylor-Joy, Zendaya, just name a few. Yeah, it seems like they're in everything. Which isn't. It's not true. It just seems like they're just really good, so they get a lot of the big blockbuster movies. So that's what you end up seeing is that. And they make so many more movies than they used to, it seems like. It seems like there's tons of movies out these days. Every time you turn around, there's some new movie coming out. And it didn't seem like they used to make them that... Like, we didn't make them that fast in the old days. It took longer to make a movie. The Rock does feel like... It does feel like he's in everything. He's definitely got that Stallone thing going on. Like, Stallone and Schwarzenegger were in everything. If it wasn't one, it was the other. It was funny when Terry tried to break into that. The old Hulkamania didn't translate well over into the screen. I don't mean to speak ill of the dead, but damn, that guy was a racist. The Rock's alright. I mean, he's fun. It's alright. Jason Momoa seems to be kind of taking a lot of that thunder out of there, which is not surprising. Jason Momoa is a much better looking guy. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that, like, he's in better shape than The Rock or nothing, but, like, as far as, like, what women and people who are attracted to men would say, I guarantee you that Jason Momoa wins that fight every time. That guy's just got more going on. You just gotta, that hair and all that. Yeah, he's a good looking fella. I ain't afraid to say it. I'm confident in my manhood, and I'll say that, man. That's a pretty looking feller. He's the prettiest man I ever saw. No, I don't know about that. I've seen a lot of pretty men. I've been to San Francisco. Seen a lot of pretty men. Been to Vegas, man. Been in the fall. Like, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how many of those chorus girls were, you know, only girls during the chorus. Don't judge a book by its cover. don't believe everything you see. Like I said, and that's what's another funny thing is you could look at those guys may not look like that up close. Like that may be all magic. Well, except for Jack Black. I'm pretty sure Jack Black still looks like, I don't think they really do much to make Jack Black look any different way, because he's just, you know, he definitely doesn't have like a vanity issue from what I can tell. Pretty sure they touch up all those other guys' muscles and stuff. If they do it for Jack Black, it's to make it look funny. He can do a lot of contortion with his face, you know. Jack Black's got that contortionist thing going on. Okay. Done. I get this guy's face in. I think we're just about there. Heck yeah. Oh, we got to do this guy's leg. And that definitely helped out. You can see where that toned down. Putting that magenta over, brought it back to where it needs to go. Yeah, Jack Black owns it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. He owns that shit. He's not worried about it at all. I think they only really do like the rocks and stuff just because they want it. You know, he's trying to look like a superhero most of the time, so they always kind of digitally enhance a little bit of that. But it's mostly him. Like, he's pretty jacked up dude, man. And he had that surgery on his pecs so that he didn't get the big man boobs. When you lift a lot of weights and you get older, you get these kind of man boob things going on. Unless you get this specific surgery. And from what I understand, it's people of Samoan and Hawaiian descent get them a little bit more often. And they're a little bit more pronounced. There we go. Good looking demon right there. If it'll focus on the dang thing. Look at the thing. Look at it. Look at this. There you go. Yeah. Thank you, Steve. Good job, bud. Yeah. That's good looking demon. Okay, so I got 3 of each of these colors, these regular color schemes. Oh, we still got a little time. Let's see. Let's get out that metal, and we'll start getting some of these metallics down. So this is a rough iron bore painter. Like I was saying earlier, occasionally we use you know, your standard stock of stuff. A lot of times we're using a thicker paint. And every now and again we'll use these hobby paints, which are, you know, pretty good. And this is gonna look great. A lot of these axe heads have like splits and cracks in them. Kind of hard to see on this camera, but they are there. So having a darker start to the metal really help us kind of pull something out. It looks like it's been etched in, but that's some sort of crack, or it also seemed like they've been hastily forged. Which seems weird. You would think that, you know, a demonic army would be a little bit more resplendent. And maybe they do as we get up there. We get a little bit more resplendent. As we go up the ranks, you look at that lead devil outfit. He's a little bit more styling. Much debated on helmet painted. And again, this is why we paint layers. Just trying to paint the top part of it. We don't really worry too much about what's going on down further because we already did all that. In theory. Doesn't always work out that way. All the times you gotta come back and do something. But, yeah, in theory. Just keep popping those in there. Those little nicks and crannies. Drop that metallic in there. If you gotta switch to a smaller brush, that's okay too. If the overpainting really makes you too crazy. As you might get a little bit over on some of these greaves as you're painting those. But we're coming out and painting these different colors after we're done, so it should be fine. So don't worry too much about your overpainting there. Alright, I think that's all of that. Hey, how much does the type of quality of brush use affect paint finish your fingers? Okay, so that's a really great question. You can use synthetic brushes like these. These guys are synthetic. So this is a synthetic fine detail brush by Daco, which is a brand. I think you can get this on Amazon. These are okay, but what will happen is, and you can kind of see it in this, and well, maybe you can't see it. It's so small, but it's starting to fray out. So the bristles themselves are starting to kind of split out a little bit. And what will happen eventually is that they'll look like this. Now, this used to be a flat brush. It used to have a flat tip on it, but it's frayed significantly, and that's because it's a synthetic. Now you can get a sable brush. This one here is Army Painter's brush. It's not too expensive. We've been putting it through the paces, but really beating the hell out of it. And this is their regimental, Wargamer regimental brush. So this is a pretty standard brush, but it is sable, so it's actual hair. So it has held up a lot better. Its point stays a lot finer and does well. This one is Monument, so this is by Pro Acryl, and it has started to fray too, but not nearly as quickly as this synthetic did. This synthetic frayed very quickly. Now, as far as affects the finish, some cheaper synthetics are really going to affect it more than others. So, like, I have one over here. Hold on. Okay, so something like this. This is a super cheapo brush, right? You're buying this like packets at a time. Well, the hairs are a lot coarser, so it's going to leave more streaks in your overall finish, versus something like this that isn't going to leave as many streaks. Now, some of that has to do with how thin or thick your paint is, and some of that has to do with your brushes. So when you first start out, you definitely want to have, like, you don't spend too much money on your brushes because you'll tear them up. But like I have a Kolinsky, like a real, this is a pre-embargo Kolinsky sable brush. This brush is older than all of my children, and it's still better than this brush is when it was new. So there's something to be said for the finer sable brushes. I loathe to use this thing because it's such a fine little brush, but I do occasionally use it on more for freehand because of the way, like you're saying with the finish, the way it leaves the finish on there. There aren't nearly as many like blobs or streaks or anything like that. So I'll use my Kolinskys for more like freehands and things like that. Now, as far as like a dry brush though, dry brushing, you can use a super cheap beat up brush, and it's not going to affect it quite as much. You just don't want one that's too coarse, because they make, some brushes are like super coarse, so you don't want it too coarse, because that any coarse brush is going to leave like streak lines and stuff like that, which you might want that on some things, but probably not on your miniature. So that's a great question, really great question. Thank you so much for asking. I really appreciate that. A really good question. And that's not something everybody always thinks about, is what's the finish going to look like? What's going to look like when it's all said and done? And like I said, a lot of that's going to come down to your paints. Cheaper paints don't have quite as good of a finish as your more expensive paints. And the thicker you put the paint on there, the more chance it is that the finish is going to be streaky, no matter what brush you're using. It will be more streaky if you're using like a coarser, cheaper brush than if it's not. But if your paint's too thick, your brush, not a really nice, expensive brush isn't going to make it finish better. Hopefully that answered the question. That's a lot of information. Good information too. Like that's really good info. And I try out a bunch of different brushes. I try to use the different, well-known brush companies, things that you can pick up at your local game store. I try to use those guys and give a kind of an honest review on that. I do have some stuff I bought from Michaels and things like that. But again, I use those more for freehand pieces. I try to use these more standardized brush sets for brushes, so people, that way I can get an honest review on a product that people can easily get wherever they're at. Some of my finer brushes, they get a little more expensive, but like I think I only paid like $6 for this brush, which is not that much in the grander scheme of things. That's leather wrapped all the way down, and that's some sort of like, I don't know if that's supposed to be barbed wire or just spikes, interchanged spikes. I like this two-tone armor. We're doing some as bone and some as regular armor. See, now this guy is missing that piece. And he's got another piece set in there. So I'm wondering if we should make that like normal metallic and let the rest be that bone. That's a fun option. We'll paint it metallic, and even if we decide we want to change it back, we can change it back pretty easily. Dana showed up. Awesome, thank you. Only used cheap brushes and paints when the plaster. Fun just painting little plaster figures. Oh yeah, plaster figures are fun. And so like on a plaster figure, if you're using a coarser brush on something that's made out of plaster, it can actually scrape out some of that plaster and it can leave effects on your plaster. So you got to be, a lot of times with my plaster stuff, I like to coat it in like a gesso or something like a Mod Podge to kind of like over the top of it. But it just depends. Just sometimes you can get, oh, I think I got one over here somewhere. Like these plaster guys. These are fun. It's something my daughter loves working on these things. So I do these things with my daughter. And it actually, airbrushing was awesome on this thing. I airbrushed this red on here. It was so easy and fast. This plaster loves airbrush. And when you do that airbrushing, there's not a streak on it. You know what I mean? But this, you can see it's kind of streaky. This is going to take multiple coats to get some of this to turn out right. And that's normal, you know, especially when you're trying to put a darker color over something like a white. And also your pigments matter. Like your pigments matter. I don't know how many times I'm going to say that before I quit doing this show. Probably 1,000, 1 million. But like all your pigments are always going to be a little different. So, and not just from like one brand to another, but from one type of color to another type of color. So like you've got, like one yellow is going to be a little bit different than another yellow. And yellows, the pigment that's in them in general is always a little weak compared to like, the pigments that are in phthalo green. Phthalo green will just saturate something in color. The second you put it on there, bam, it's green. And it almost streakless. Like it's a beautiful color. And it's one of the ones we created. It's a human created color that we designed to be a paint pigment. And so it works really, really well. But some of your more like traditional colors don't become acrylic pigments as well. So sometimes you want an oil acrylic or oil paint instead of an acrylic if you want it to have a certain type of color, a color pigment to work a certain way. But you know, also knowing how to use the different pigments in different ways. You know, how we do these yellows where we're putting our pink or red down and then we're bringing the yellow in to make it look more yellow. You know, those little tricks of knowing how to layer your paints are super helpful. Yeah, those plaster figures are fun. I've done several of those over my life. I don't have any in here. They usually end up getting broken. That's what happens when you have children. So let's close this thing down a little bit. We're over an hour. Look at that. Great conversation. What a great day. It was a really great show today. Thank you to RCL and Giggin. And always a big cheers to Sir McBeardsly for jumping in. I really like it when the chat comes to life. It's a lot of fun. You know, I can paint offline. I can paint offline all day long. So like I don't have to. It's better when we do these live shows to have these questions because it really is kind of the idea of what the live show should be. You know, like people jumping in, asking questions about how to do things and how to paint things. That way we can help people learn how to do this stuff better, and we can get this hobby to keep going. Because if you don't teach people how to do your hobby dies, and that's what happens. And like this, you know, there's a little bit of gatekeeping on the miniature community in general, and there shouldn't be, but there is, you know, like, and so there's already enough of a gate there. It gatekeeps itself because a lot of people don't want to paint miniatures because it looks hard. And so like anybody that's interested, you should always be trying to help them, you know, get to the next thing. No matter if it's painting little war miniatures like this or painting the plastic figures for ornaments or, you know, whatever. If you're painting sculptures and miniatures, you know, we should all, you know, if you don't keep showing people what you do and helping people who want to learn how to do it, then the hobby goes away. It just dies. And, you know, AI and stuff like that's killing all these hobbies. So like we got to do something, right? We got to keep teaching ourselves how to do this stuff, or You know, we'll be looking at AI art for the rest of humanity's existence, and God, that'd be awful. That would be terrible. Like, we can't do that. We got to keep doing your thing, man. Absolutely. I love painting plaster figurines. They're really fun. They're adorable. I love that Santa Claus. I can't wait to have him finished. I'm being real slow on it because I want to make sure that he doesn't get broken like the 5 others. Because his face is the cutest. He's got this like curl on his mustache. That's adorable. Anyway, that's me rambling. I really appreciate everybody who comes by and watches these shows. It really makes a world of difference to me. It really does. And especially when we get some interactions, it makes my whole day a whole lot brighter. So thank you so much. Be good to each other. Be good to yourselves. Be good to somebody. Be good to anybody. Just be good. Or spread some good. Spread some light. We got plenty of darkness. So try and spread some calm. Maybe good is just being calm. There's a lot of people not calm right now. Anyway, you guys have a great day. We're gonna be back tomorrow, and hopefully we can. That's a long haul to knock out the rest of these demons, but maybe I'll get some stuff done. I'll get the rest of this metal done and catch some stuff up on them, so we can fly through these things. Anyway, you guys are awesome. We'll talk to you later. Bye.